Picture this. You come home early from a business trip, excited to surprise your wife of 8 years. You quietly unlock the front door, planning to sneak up and give her the biggest hug. But as you climb the stairs, you hear voices coming from your bedroom, 2 voices, and one of them isn't your wife's. Your heart stops. Your hands shake as you reach for the bedroom door handle. You take a deep breath, turn it slowly, and push the door open. Both of you hear yourself say, your voice eerily calm. Now, before we dive in, please subscribe. It means the world to us and helps us bring you more amazing stories. My name is David, and I'm going to tell you about the day my entire world collapsed in just 3 words. I thought I had it all figured out. At 34, I was a successful regional sales manager for a tech company, married to my college sweetheart Sarah. We'd been together for 12 years, married for 8, living in our dream house in the suburbs. Everyone always said we were the perfect couple. Sarah was a freelance graphic designer who worked from home, which I always thought was perfect. She could pursue her passion while being there when I came home from my demanding job. She'd greet me at the door with a smile, dinner would be ready, and we'd spend our evenings watching Netflix or planning our next vacation. But looking back now, I realize I missed the signs. The way Sarah started putting her phone face down during dinner, how she suddenly became interested in going to the gym every Tuesday and Thursday evening, the new clothes that appeared in her wardrobe, slightly more revealing than her usual style. Most telling of all, Sarah had started working late into the night on big projects that she couldn't talk about due to client confidentiality. I respected her privacy and trusted her completely. After all, why wouldn't I? This was the woman I'd planned to spend my entire life with. On that fateful Tuesday in March, my business trip to Chicago was cut short. The client meeting that was supposed to last 2 days wrapped up in just 4 hours. Instead of staying an extra night as planned, I decided to catch the evening flight home. I wanted to surprise Sarah and maybe take her out for a late dinner. As I drove home from the airport, I felt that familiar warmth of coming back to the person I loved most. I even stopped to buy Sarah's favorite flowers, white roses, from the 24-hour gas station. I imagined her face lighting up when she saw me walk through the door. The house looked normal from the outside. Sarah's car was in the driveway and the living room lights were on, but there was another car parked across the street that I didn't recognize. A black BMW sedan. I didn't think much of it at the time. Maybe it belonged to a neighbor's visitor. I quietly unlocked the front door, flowers in hand, ready to call out, "Honey, I'm home." There was music playing softly from upstairs, and I could hear muffled voices. As I climbed the carpeted stairs, each step felt heavier than the last. The voices became clearer, and my stomach began to twist into knots. One voice was definitely Sarah's, but it had a tone I rarely heard, breathless, excited, intimate. The other voice was deep, masculine, and completely unfamiliar. My rational mind tried to find innocent explanations. Maybe Sarah was on a video call with a client. Maybe she was watching a movie. But my heart already knew the truth, even as my brain refused to accept it. When I reached the top of the stairs, our bedroom door was slightly ajar. Through the crack, I could see movement, shadows dancing in the warm lamplight. I heard Sarah laugh, that special laugh she used to reserve only for me. For a moment, I considered turning around, walking back downstairs, getting in my car, and driving away. Maybe if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I could pretend it wasn't happening. Maybe we could work through whatever was wrong in our marriage. But I couldn't. I had to know. I pushed the door open. The scene that greeted me was worse than anything my imagination had conjured. Sarah was there with a man I had never seen before. Tall, athletic, probably in his late 20s. They were so lost in each other that they didn't even notice the door opening at first. "Both of you," I heard myself say, my voice strangely calm and controlled. "Out. Now." The reaction was immediate. Sarah scrambled to cover herself, her face cycling through shock, terror, and something that looked almost like relief. The man, who I would later learn was Jake, Sarah's personal trainer from the gym, started grabbing his clothes with shaking hands. "David, I can explain," Sarah started, but I held up my hand. "No," I said quietly. Jake mumbled something about being sorry and rushed past me. not making eye contact. I heard him stumble down the stairs and slam the front door. The BMW across the street roared to life and disappeared into the night. Sarah sat on the edge of our bed, wrapped in the sheet we'd picked out together for our 5th wedding anniversary. She was crying now, but I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not betrayal, just emptiness. How long? I finally asked. David, please, we need to talk about this. How long, Sarah? She looked at the floor. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of coming home to someone who was living a double life. Half a year of I love you too, when she was already in love with someone else. What happened next surprised even me. Instead of screaming or crying or demanding answers, I found myself asking practical questions with an almost clinical detachment. Are you in love with him? Sarah's silence was answer enough. Are you leaving me? I don't know. I never meant for this to happen, David. It just did. I nodded as if she had just told me about the weather. I'm going to pack some things and stay at a hotel tonight. We'll talk about this tomorrow when we've both had time to think. David, wait. But I was already moving, mechanically pulling clothes from the dresser, grabbing my toiletries from the bathroom we'd renovated together just 2 years ago. Sarah followed me around the house, trying to explain, trying to apologize, trying to make me understand that she never wanted to hurt me. But I wasn't listening anymore. My mind was already calculating the logistics of separation, who would keep the house, how we would divide our shared accounts, whether I should call a lawyer first thing in the morning. As I reached the front door with my hastily packed bag, Sarah grabbed my arm. David, please. We can work through this. We can go to counseling. I'll end it with Jake. I promise. Please don't give up on us. I looked at her, really looked at her. For the first time since I'd walked into that bedroom, her mascara was smudged, her hair was messy, and she looked smaller somehow, more fragile than I remembered. Sarah, I said gently, you already gave up on us. 6 months ago. The next morning, I woke up in a generic hotel room, staring at the ceiling and wondering how everything had changed so completely in the span of 12 hours. My phone had 17 missed calls from Sarah and a string of text messages that progressed from apologies to anger to desperate pleas. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I did something that surprised even me. I called in sick to work, drove to the nearest hiking trail, and spent the day walking through the woods. For the first time in months, maybe years, I was completely alone with my thoughts. As I walked, I realized that the signs had been there all along. Not just the obvious ones like the secret phone calls and mysterious gym sessions, but deeper signs. The way Sarah had become more distant over the past year, how our conversations had become more superficial, the way she'd stopped talking about our future together. Most painfully, I realized that I hadn't been entirely happy either. I'd been so focused on maintaining the image of a perfect marriage that I'd stopped paying attention to whether the marriage itself was actually working. By the time I returned to my hotel that evening, I'd made my decision. 3 months later, Sarah and I were officially divorced. She moved in with Jake, and I bought a smaller house closer to my office. The divorce was surprisingly amicable. Sarah felt too guilty to fight for much, and I just wanted it to be over. But here's the twist that makes this story truly unforgettable. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into Sarah at a coffee shop. She was alone, looked tired, and when she saw me, she started to cry. Jake left me, she said simply. He said he never wanted anything serious. He just liked the excitement of the affair. Not for myself, but for her, I said, I'm sorry, Sarah. And I meant it. Are you happy? She asked. I thought about my new life, the smaller house that felt more like home than the suburban dream we'd shared, the cooking classes I'd started taking on weekends, the woman from work, Lisa, who I'd been slowly getting to know and who laughed at my jokes and actually listened when I talked about my day. Yeah, I said, surprised by the truth of it. I think I am. Sarah nodded, tears still flowing. I'm glad. You deserve to be happy, David. You always did. And in that moment, I realized that betrayal, as painful as it is, sometimes forces us to confront truths we've been avoiding. Sarah's affair didn't just end our marriage. It revealed that our marriage had been ending for a long time and neither of us had been brave enough to admit it. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you turns out to be the best thing that could have happened to you. Sometimes both of you out isn't just an ending. Sometimes it's the beginning of the life you were actually meant to live. If my story resonated with you, or if you have your own tale of betrayal and redemption, drop a comment below and don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew about love, trust, and the courage to start over. Until next time, remember, the truth might set you free, but first it's going to hurt like hell.